Foster care brings out this helplessness in you. You have no control over the situation at all. You have no say in this child's life. You go to court and you sit in there and you're not allowed to say anything. And you're the one person that knows every single thing about this child and every single need that they have. You're in charge of their life, yet you have no say in anything that happens. I remember I had laid down for a nap one day and just prayed, like, I just am really ready for another placement. God, please, like, give us a kid, you know? I had an email telling us about this little boy that was in the NICU, and he had a lot of medical issues going on, and he was born at 24 weeks. He weighed 2 pounds. We knew that there was some brain damage. My thoughts were kind of, you know, if it were my own biological child, I wouldn't question that, you know? You would take care of that kid and you would be with him in the NICU and you would bring him home and do whatever you had to do. We ended up going to the NICU and we met him there and brought him home that day.
We're working on his head control, just getting him to get his hands to his mouth. He wants to be awake and interactive. Okay. And he like is real.
We're gonna treat you good and give you a little love. You get to meet some of our friends and meet a bunch of people who just love you and been praying for you. It's gonna be fun.
The doctor explained that Ethan had an aortic aneurysm and that it could burst at any time, and if it did, he would die instantly. It was super scary to think that he could come to our house for however long. We would love him so much and care for him, but then in an instant, it could all be just over with.
How much I love you, please don't take my sunshine away.
I think from the beginning, we didn't really know what we were getting into with Ethan. I had doctor's appointments probably every day, every other day for months. We were in and out of the hospital, I think 7 different times. And as the months went on, we started to notice that all of the medical things, all of the sickness and health issues were kind of resolving themselves a little bit. And I would say that the second half of our journey through foster care with Ethan was harder on the foster care side of things. The goal was to get him home to his family. He started having overnight visits and weekend visits, and he eventually did go back home, and that was really, really hard for us. At that point, he had been with us for 1.5 years, so we had grown to love him so much, and he was part of our family. It was just kind of everything you could imagine feeling all at once. Like, we were really excited for them and happy for them, but we were scared and nervous for Ethan because he didn't know them all that well. I mean, he knew us as his family.
And our son, Caleb, was getting to know him, and to think of how we would have to explain that to our son was just a hard thought. It's something that's not natural, you know? You don't usually just have a person in your life, in your family, for 1.5 years, and then release them to another family, and there's no expectation of, you know, keeping in touch or whatnot. But that's kind of what foster care is. I mean, we dropped him off, and then we left. And part of me was excited to have kind of our lives back in a way. Part of me was just broken for even feeling that. ashamed, like, for thinking like, oh, our life just got a little bit easier. I was concerned. I was all bunch of different emotions.
I remember maybe like a week and a half after he had gone home, I remember I was doing laundry and I found like a piece of his laundry and I just thought like, I wonder what he's doing right now and if he's okay and if he's getting the care he needs, if he's had to go to the hospital at all, if he's been making all of his doctor's appointments, and I was just worried for him.
We loved him as much as we could, but that doesn't even compare to the love that God has for this little kid. And we just had to trust and believe that. We had to trust that he was in control and had a plan. Even though we didn't see it, we couldn't tell what it was.
Hey, you gonna smile for me?
One day I was just out running errands, and it had been about 2 weeks since Ethan had gone home, and I got a call from our caseworker. I answered, and he said, "Hey, where are you? What are you doing? Are you at home?" And I was like, "No, I'm out." And he said, "Well, I've got Ethan here with me, and I'm bringing him over in an hour." We were, of course, excited to see him and to know what was going on the last 2 weeks. But I think that we were also fearful of, this has been the hardest, year and a half of our lives. And are we about to get into that all over again? I think that during that time, we really learned to just trust God and lean on God and to not live in fear of like the unknown and what may or may not happen. I mean, obviously there was no question. We weren't gonna say no to having him back. So I went straight home and we waited, and an hour later he was at our house. We kind of knew or thought when he came back, like, okay, if he's coming back into our home, this is most likely going to be permanent. I mean, we always knew that if he did need to be adopted, we would do that. There was no question of that.
Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay. Then, having heard the evidence, the court finds that all the legal requisites have been fully satisfied, but most importantly, that this adoption is in Ethan's best interest. That clearly is the case. He looks right at home in this family, right where he belongs. Therefore, the adoption is granted. So he is yours and you are his forever and ever. Congratulations.
I would have missed it if I didn't actually say thank you guys for coming. Thank you for just being there for me and Kim for the past 2 years of our life as we have been on our journey with Ethan. You guys mean the world to us. We definitely could not have gotten through the past 2 years if it hadn't been for our friends and our family. And so just thank you for being there. And we love you guys so much. Back to the party.
I think foster care and adoption is an incredible example and picture of what God did for lost sinners. He came and he got me and he picked me up out of the mess that I was in. He cleaned me off and took me into his home and adopted me and called me his son. When I was far away and when I was broken and when I was sinful and when I didn't have anything to offer God, he came for me.
So on the day of the adoption, the judge made it final and he said, "He is yours and you are his forever." Everything that we had been through for the past over 2 years was over and it was final, and we didn't have to wonder anymore. Ethan didn't have to wonder. It felt like this is where he belonged and this is the way that the story was supposed to go all along.